You want to see something totally crazy, like outside of this world? Star Citizen, which has been raising money since 2012, has now raised over $900 million, $901,818 to be precise, as of today, and that's expected to go up by another 2 to 3 million when midnight strikes tonight, when they do the new tally. And what's even crazier is that the game is still in alpha. There still is no release date in sight, and it looks like they may even have to delay the launch of their single player version of the game, which was scheduled for launch in 2026. The people making it are now even skeptical of whether they will hit that release date, which they gave themselves back in 2024. It's absolutely crazy. It's wild, and I'm going to tell you all about it in this video. But at the same time, there's a lot of misinformation that goes around with Star Citizen, and I wanted to debunk some of that and actually boot up the game as you can play it today and share it with you, because a lot of people don't realize just how much of the game is done and is playable, even though there's like 15,000 asterisks next to it. So I'm gonna give you both sides of it. Whether you are a fan of Star Citizen or a hater, there will be something for you in this video, because I'm in that weird spot where I've played it and I can see that there is something here, and I understand why people connect with it. And I also think it's patently ridiculous and insane. And so I'll tell you all about it today. Hooray. And I'm doing this for free. I'm not even getting like a slice of the $900 million they've raised. Not even a penny. Not even a penny. I'm just a loser making a video because I find it interesting. So here we are. Anyway, let's talk about some Star Citizen stuff, because it's crazy. Lots to talk about. But first, a thank you to our sponsor, Sword of Convallaria, and their brand new Witcher 3 crossover event. Sword of Convallaria is a fantasy tactical RPG revitalizing the beloved Japanese turn-based pixel art genre. Embark on an epic journey with over 100 hours of narrative content with decisions to make and consequences to enjoy, all while collecting and training a roster of different mercenaries, soldiers, and characters. It features tons of content, and the turn-based combat system is inspired by some of the greatest JRPGs ever made. And right now they actually have a crossover event going on where Geralt and Yennefer actually end up in this world after an attempt to use an ancient elven portal goes awry. Which honestly, I kind of love that idea for a crossover, that like they were trying to use a portal and then it like gets messed up, and so they end up in this alternative universe in this game and art style and everything, at least for a little bit. It's pretty cool and pretty clever. Check it out today at the link in the video description box below or in the pinned comment and try the game out for free. It's available on iOS, Android, and Steam, so there's no reason not to try it. Again, links below. Quick recap for anybody not familiar somehow at this point of what Star Citizen is. This was a project announced and planned by Chris Roberts back in 2012. He started raising money through Kickstarter to produce a gigantic spacefaring adventure game, and it was supposed to be the melding of a bunch of other sci-fi games that had previously existed, and it was going to merge ideas and design philosophies from classic MMOs and even some single-player games. Very quickly, however, it started raising crazy amounts of money, and it grew significantly beyond what they had initially planned. On their website, you can actually still go and see the original funding idea. They were only trying to raise $2.5 million, and that was back in December of 2012. And as you can see, they surpassed those goals, and then some, and then some, and then some, and it just kept going and kept going, and they actually ended up maxing out their goals in the original like fundraising push at $65 million, which they achieved, of course, and then some. And over the last decade plus, 13 years, they have continued to raise more and more and more and more money. And as that's been done, feature creep has set in. Things have gotten significantly more ambitious, let's just say, and absolutely crazy. The basic description is that there's two sides of the Star Citizen project. There's the Persistent Universe and Squadron 42. Squadron 42 is a more traditional single-player narrative game, at least as far as we understand it. It's been in production for years and years and years, and it has a pretty intense star-studded cast of actors and actresses, even Mark Hamill, as you see there. And they've done a bunch of motion motion capture going back a decade or so, and this is slated for release in 2026. Allegedly. More on that later. The other side of the game is the persistent universe. This is what I have running right here, and you can actually try the game yourself. And if you buy into the game with one of their starter packs for, I believe they're going for $45 right now, you can actually get access to this version of the game right now, and you can play it. And so while some people point out that like, oh, Star Citizen's a scam, it's not technically true. Like, there is a game, there is something here for you to play, and it actually is quite robust and expansive. There is a lot going on here, but it's just not, what's the word? Done, finished, polished. You'll see what I mean. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna turn on my engines just like that, and then I can take off. And I actually have already requested clearance from the spaceport that I'm currently at. And once they grant you clearance to take off, you can just do that. And because it is a crazy high-tech game, you can actually just immediately go and fly to other planets. You can fly all over the star system that you're at, engage in like dogfights and combat with other players, and it's all seamless. No loading screens here. This is no Starfield. I'll tell you what, this is like what Starfield wishes it was. It's like kind of crazy, but yeah, it just works. All of this just works. That is until it doesn't. You see, Star Citizen is known for being super buggy, like super buggy, and having all sorts of issues with performance. You need a supercomputer to run it, blah de blue de blah blah. In fact, right now I'm actually running the game in windowed mode. You can actually see that if I move the OBS window there. And that's because the game is like so janky at times that it will actually cause it to crash for me, specifically if I try to run this at anything other than windowed mode. If I try to run it at like full screen, it crashes randomly. I don't know why. I play a lot of PC games. I've never seen that before, but that's a thing. So there you go. But when it is working, it is legitimately really cool and does work quite well. As you can see, I'm jumping with my warp drive right now, so you can travel across the system super quickly. And we'll see how it just does it super seamlessly as I approach my arrival point. I have a not super great warp drive because this is a starter ship, because I don't want to spend thousands of dollars in this game. More on that in a second, because yes, you can do that and many people do. So we'll just have to sit and wait like losers while we warp our way over there.
And I think it's gonna be a long time till touchdown brings me around again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh no, I'm a rock-it man. Rocket Man, burning out his fuse out here alone.
Here we come. There you go. There you go. That's how quick it was. Super fast. But it is cool that we can just like travel here. That is legitimately awesome. I appreciate that we can do it with like no load screens. That's genuinely like awesome and like really badass when other games require it. Does just take an adjustment in mindset, because this is a seamless universe, and you can do some crazy stuff. Crazy guy. I forgot to slow down. Forgot to slow down, so I crashed. After all that, I crashed. There you go. Well, that gives me a second to talk about the other stuff going on. So when you're not crashing ships, there's actually a lot to do. There's people who play this game as a miner. There's people who go and collect salvage and deliver it back to space stations. There's people who go and engage in firefights or dogfights or races within their ships. There's people who do all of the above. There's even dedicated missions for you to go on fighting NPC enemies and things. There's all sorts of stuff already in the game today. That is the persistent universe side of the game. It is clunky, it is janky, but it's an alpha. They're still building the game. There's new features constantly, new updates and content. It's a work in progress. So what is the problem people have with the game? Well, like I said, they've raised $900 million. And you might be wondering, like, how have they done that? Is that through venture capital? Is that through just going to publishers? Like, EA or somebody and raising money that way. No, it's done through the players. You might be wondering, how on earth do you raise $900 million from players in an unreleased game? Well, it's done with something called pledges, my friends, pledges. There is a store for Star Citizen where you can go and access right now yourself, and you see they've got game packages, ships, paints, merchandise, ship upgrades, gear, all sorts of stuff. But this is not just in-game currency, my friends. This is actually something you can purchase with real money. So you can see this standalone ship is 105 US dollars. This clipper is 135 US dollars. The Golem ship is 80 US dollars. The Perseus, this is just the paint job, is $22. The ship itself is a good bit more. In fact, you can actually go and sort specifically for standalone ships, and you can see that the Perseus is $800. The Polaris is $975. The Odyssey is $700. The Perseus red variant over here is $700. The Merchantman is $650. The Orion $650. The Carrack is $600, $575, and it just goes on and on and on. And this is not counting some of the other more expensive ships that have either been announced, are no longer available for sale, at least at this moment within the store, or some combination of the two, like they're still being built and they'll sell them later or whatever else. The Idris, for example, is a massive ship that actually is designed to host 28 crew members, meaning you will need 28 people to run this ship at full capacity and capabilities. It has med bays, cafeterias, it has like all sorts of crazy stuff. This is like a freaking movie theater within the game. It's crazy. You can see they have like this little interactive thing for you to look at and see what it's like. X-ray, give me the wireframe. I want to see wireframe. That's cool. That's key. And you can look at it that way. But this is a $1,000 ship. Cool, clean, grand. There you go. Just a stack. Just a stack. They also have the Javelin, which was originally revealed back in 2014, I believe, and it has a max capacity of 65. It's still in development, and my understanding is that they originally intended to only produce like 200 of these and charge $2,500 a piece for them. I don't know how that ended up or settled, but that was, I believe, the original plan. But you'll start to see that a lot of the highest end ships are really hard to find. And so you have to go to what's called a gray market to buy these, which are not technically within the purview of Robert Space Industries, the developers of Star Citizen, but rather you have to go to a place like the Impound, and you can see here you can buy a Star Citizen account when they're not sold out, which has the Praetorian account, Javelin, Idris, or Kraken, F8C Lightning, Executive, and Standard, both LTI, Capital Fleet with rare collectibles. You can buy the account for $7,200. This one you can buy for 10 grand. This one is 12 grand. And so they'll just straight up sell accounts based on what they have within them if somebody wants to get out of the game for whatever reason. 25 grand for this tier of account, but as you can see, these are currently all sold out because players are not actively selling their accounts. Oh, I guess this one is not. This one, the $25,000 one is available. So look out, guys. This one is available. It has all of these things within it. Somebody played the crap out of this game to build this account. I would love to know why they're selling it. Like, what happened that they need to get rid of it? I'm so curious because they played this so much, dude. That's crazy. That's crazy. Look at all the ships they have. That's wild. Oh, and look, you can actually you can finance it with Shop Pay. Only $2,200 a month. You know, a mortgage for a Star Citizen account. Golly. Now, the reason people are willing to spend so much for ships is because ships really are the central mechanic within the game. It's how you get around. It's how you complete deliveries. It's how you interact with pretty much every facet of the game. Yes, there are things to do when you're not in ships. Like right now, I'm leaving the med bay and I'm headed back to where I can go to pick up my ship. You can go interact with vendors like this. You'll notice the game is like struggle bussing right now to run, but here I can buy things with in-game currency if I want to. That's an option. But really, at the end of the day, everything is about the ships. That's what everything is tied back to. It's a sci-fi game after all. I mean, that's kind of what you would would expect, right? I mean, it's not really that big of a shocker to me. But it's important to note that most people probably get most of their ships with in-game currency that they gain by like completing activities or missions. You can see I can file an insurance claim on that ship I just crashed. I can pay an expedited fee and that'll speed up the time. And now I just kind of sit back and chill while I wait for the ship to be delivered. Or I could take delivery of another ship I have on this account. But in this case, I'll just wait for the Intrepid because it's cooler. But the important thing to understand is that ships that are gained by in-game currency will actually be wiped. They regularly do server wipes and resets. Like maybe it's once a year, maybe it's once every 3 months. It's all over the place, just depending on what they need for development when they're working on the game. But when they do a server wipe, everything is removed. So you lose access to the ship. You don't have it anymore unless you paid for it with real world money, in which case you can get access to it again after the server wipe. So while you will hear people who play the game say, well, no. You don't have to spend real world money on the ships. You can just get it in game. Yes, that's true, but it will regularly be wiped and all of that grinding will be reset to 0. It's also important to note that most of the people that you talk to and that say you don't have to spend money on ships, if you ask them how much money they've spent on the game, the answer is usually in the realm of hundreds or thousands, or sometimes hundreds of thousands. I met one guy who had spent tens of thousands of dollars on the game already, and he was very, very like open about it, which I respect. You know, it's your money, spend it how you want. But like the whales in this game go hard, okay? They really go hard. 99.9% of players are not running with accounts like this. This is some like crypto millionaire that just had a spending problem. That's, I think, the type of person that has this kind of account, but most players don't have that. They maybe spend $200 on a really cool ship or something like that, and it's because they played a lot of the game, they enjoy it, so they're looking at a ship like this one, the Paladin, and they're like, oh, $350. Yeah, it's a lot of money, but I really love this game, and I really like the look of that ship, and maybe I play specifically with the playstyle this ship enables, so I'll support the devs in that way and I'll spend that money. That's how this works, okay? That's how most of these players are engaging with it. They're not spending tens of thousands, but they are not playing it for free, you know? And that's been my experience, is that the average player is probably in the realm of hundreds in terms of overall spending. And there are certainly some giga whales out there, but most players are probably in that range. In this case, my account is just like the bare bones super basic account. So I don't have any of those extra bells and whistles. And I will say you can have fun. There is stuff to do in the game, but it is not on the same level as somebody who's running with like a giga javelin ship or something, or one of the other big ships like the 890 Jump, which is a massive like cruise ship yacht kind of thing. A couple years back, I actually did a video where I flew that ship around to see what it was like, because a viewer was actually one of the hardcore players in Star Citizen and had a bunch of in-game currency to just give me. So he gave me a bunch of money and I tried flying around the big ships that cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And while it was cool, I personally don't think I would spend hundreds of dollars on those ships, but it was cool. But that is where the disagreements lie, my friends. That is where the drama starts, is specifically with people who really have a problem with the exorbitant prices they charge for all sorts of ships. And they have a problem with it because it's not sustainable. And even some of the hardcore fan base that has engaged with the game on that level and spent amounts of money in the realm of like hundreds or even thousands of dollars, they have a problem with it because it is going to inevitably affect Star Citizen's capabilities of connecting with a more mainstream audience, which is something it probably will need to do. You see, Star Citizen is cool and all, but right now it is a very niche thing, and it's a pretty hardcore thing. The people that are playing the game have played it for a very long time and know it inside and out. But at some point, they're going to need to find some way of breaking into the mainstream, of getting everyday people, maybe regular PC gamers or big streamers and stuff, to try the game for themselves and play it. And I'm sure they're hoping to spend money on it. And that is something I think that they will be able to do, because the game is legitimately very, very impressive and cool when it's working. But the price points are a problem. The average gamer if they see a $350 ship, not a cosmetic, not something that just changes the look of something. We are talking about an actual gameplay affecting mechanic. You are buying a ship that lets you do things other players don't get to do if they're not spending that level of money or grinding for ages to get that thing in game just for it to be wiped later. Like, that is something that the regular gaming audience does not tolerate, is literally like pay to excel. Star Citizen isn't like pay to win. It is absolutely pay to excel though, and pay to outperform, if that's a better way of saying it. And a lot of Star Citizen players are sensitive to the pay to win accusation, and I understand why. It is something that's typically levied in a very negative way, because it is kind of a negative thing that if you have a bigger wallet, you'll have more fun. And while I don't think it's quite on that level, it is certainly an element to consider, which is that if you have more money, you can skip a lot of the grind that other players will have to engage with if they want a ship like this, or if they want a fancier ship for their friends to use and play with. And so this puts Star Citizen into this really weird position where, in order to break into the mainstream and find long-term success, they're probably going to need to find some way of shedding the massively overpriced ships and this whole monetization scheme, which is something apparently they've said in the past that they want to do. The developers want to get rid of that. At least that's what they've told Upset Gamers. But I'm not sure if I believe it, man. I think they may be sticking to it. I don't think they're ever going to drop it. Maybe I'm cynical. Maybe I'm just negative, but I just don't see them ever dropping what's making them $900 million, you know? Before I show you the next thing, I do want to start jumping to another system or something. So you can see, if I pull up this map, I can actually find like other locations that I could travel to, or I can go here to this planet. I can route to it, route to location, as you can see there. And then I can actually jump there using that same warp drive that I showed you earlier. And this time I'll slow down before I arrive. Lesson learned. Here we go, calibrating, skadoosh, and then we warp, and there we go. And so now we will just wait until we arrive. This one should go a good bit faster, I think, than the last trip, because it's not across the whole thing, but we'll get there fast enough. Look at that. It's cool. It's cool. We're getting there. But what I wanted to show you is that Star Citizen has actually raised more money this year than any other year in their history. As of 3 days ago, when this was posted to the subreddit, I verified it myself. And in fact, they have raised over $117 million this year alone. And there's still a month left. When this was posted, they had raised $891 million. Today, it's over $900 million because they have a big event going on. It's absolutely crazy. So they're just getting started. They're just getting started, tell you what. And they're only going to raise more and more money as time goes on. And so while it is insane for us to look at something like that and see that they're raising that level of money, people are still spending money on it. Why would they stop selling ships at these crazy high prices if players are still buying them? Like, why would they stop? And I will say, the ships let you do like some cool things. As you can see here, I can actually just straight up go down to the planet's surface if I want, without any load screens or anything. I can just head down to the planet's surface and arrive there myself. Like, it's crazy. Like, seriously, look at this. I'm just gonna go like that. It's gonna warp me over there. Quick little zoom as we accelerate and take off. No load screens, no nothing. Whoosh, whoosh. That is the official sound effect, by the way. Whoa, whoa, spooky. And then straight down, and you'll see we arrive very, very seamlessly. Love to see it. Love to see it. And I just flip over and I can just head on down. How crazy is that? I can even fire some lasers for good measure. not doing a lot, but I can do it. I can sure do it. There we go. We just head straight down. I can land anywhere I want. I don't know. Maybe I'll land over by the water. Maybe we do that. That could be fun. That could be fun. But this like level of adventure is one thing that Star Citizen has been really pushing for. And they actually did do an update to the Persistent Universe side of the game, which is genuinely really, really impressive. It's called Persistent Entity Streaming. And basically what they're trying to do is they want you to be able to drop an item anywhere in the Persistent Universe, and it will stay there persistently, perpetually. So for example, if I just go to this random spot on this map, or on this planet, literally a planet, and I just drop down, maybe right over here, right over chair, I can drop a water bottle on the ground, and that water bottle will stay there forever. Unless somebody, like some other player comes and were to take it and remove it, I could come back here in 6 months, real world time, and see it myself still sitting like under this rock, under this ledge right here. And then I could get up and I could fly to the other side of the planet, drop off another one. It will also stay there as well. That is what their tech allows them to do. And that has all sorts of really cool implications gameplay wise, where like you could have a player settlement or something, or you could find a literal cave on a planet, and that could become your stash, and you could like smuggle goods, drop it off there, and then your friends could come pick it up later when you're not even online. There's all sorts of crazy cool things that they could do with that tech, which is genuinely really, really cool. To be able to keep information persistent on multiple planets within multiple star systems and keep that persistent from week to week, month to month, year to year. I have a headache just thinking about it, but that's what they're able to do. The tech is legitimately amazing, and that's where a lot of that $900 million has gone, no doubt. But it doesn't change the fact that there's still this like sort of rotten core of Star Citizen, which is that they've raised that money through what many players in the more casual space to be like, they consider to be just something that is gross and is disallowed, that you don't get to charge money for gameplay affecting mechanics and things. And this actually reached a peak late last year when they started selling something called blades. So blades are like little augmentations you can apply to ships, and they have actual gameplay like effects. They can do things like increase damage or speed or whatever else. And they started charging money, or they announced that they were going to start charging money for that. And even the hardcore Star Citizen community said, no, we're not doing that. You said you would not do that. You said you would not start doing that. And now you're doing that. And so there was a whole uproar. They walked it back. And then apparently they just walked back. They're walking back of it in the last handful of months. And it now looks like they're probably going to keep doing that, or revamp it and rebrand it into something else. But like, as long as they're pushing and they're that greedy, it's just going, I don't think it'll ever pierce that mainstream veil. Because as cool as this is, as cool as like adding in missions and the full co-op experience and polishing it up so performance is good, having player like houses and apartments, as cool as all of that is, the average gamer just will not tolerate $350 ships. They just won't. It is fair to point out that the most expensive ships, the big ones like the Idris, for example, those are primarily designed for organizations. They're designed for groups of players, teams of players, clans of players who are maybe all pitching in $50 together to get that big ship. And then the $1,000 price tag for a massive Javelin or something isn't as extreme because it's split across like 30 people or 40 people. And that is a fair point to raise. One individual will not be flying one of those massive ships by themselves, or at least they shouldn't be. But that explanation I just did, I don't think the average gamer gives a crap. I don't think they give two craps what the explanation is, or, well, actually, you don't even need to do that. I don't think they care. All they're gonna notice is how you're selling $1,000 ship that is way cooler than the starter ship. And if this player only had more money to throw at the game, they could have that really cool, awesome ship. And that's just going to be the persistent problem within the persistent universe for a while. And personally, I don't think they're ever going to change it. I think they're going to keep it perpetually, because I don't think like, why would you look a gift horse in the mouth? Why would you get rid of the thing that's making you lots of money? Like, I don't think they're ever going to get rid of it. I know they've said they will. I just don't believe them. But look, I can set the ship down maybe right in here, pop the landing gear, and I will go down right in this valley. Again, I can land anywhere. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, we're okay. We're okay. We'll just drop down right here. Nice and gentle. It's like if I crash this again, I swear. Right there. Anywhere in here. This looks like where R2-D2 and C-3PO got jumped in The Empire Returns or Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back, not Returns. Don't come at me. I know my name is Luke. I'm not actually that well versed in Star Wars lore. Shocking, I know. Stunning. But here we go. I pop the button and there we go. Now, like I said, there's a lot to do in Star Citizen. What I'm doing right now is just kind of flying around. But like I said, there's tons of things that you would normally be doing within Star Citizen. I'm just not doing that because when I'm rambling and recording videos like this, it can often be frustrating to players if I'm doing like a cooperative thing, because they're like, oh my God, stop rambling, we're trying to do a mission. So right now we're just exploring, but like all sorts of missions and races and stuff can play out anywhere on these planets just like this. It's legitimately really, really cool. So where are we right now in the realm of Star Citizen? Well, like I said, they've raised the most money this year as they have at any year previously. It's not slowing down. When I did my video at the end of last year, when they hit $800 million raised, I mentioned that it seemed to me like there was just no way this could keep up, that the money was going to start to slow. And at that time, it looked like it was slowing down. And then it picked right back up. And now they've raised $117+ million. Now it's already at like $125 million raised this year alone. And it's only going to continue going up because there's a big event going on in the game right now, which is when they sell a lot of ships and do all sorts of stuff with promotion. So it's not slowing down. They're going to keep raising money. And there is, like, at this point, there's no question. 2026, they will cross the $1 billion threshold. They will raise, or will have raised, $1 billion for this game. And in 2026, they are expected to release, or at least that's what people expect from them. They're expected to release Squadron 42. As you can see in this trailer that was posted in 2024, they have the big 2026 posted on it. That's when this was supposed to launch. And the reason why I say supposed to is because, as reported by PC Gamer, Star Citizen fans sigh deeply. This was posted in September. They rub their foreheads as developer casts doubt on Squadron 42's 2026 release date. What he said specifically, so nobody claims we're going out of context, they are not going to attend, or didn't attend, what they call CitizenCon. It's a convention that they throw for their game where people can come talk to devs and stuff. It's something they do every year. And he said the team is heads down, and they decided they were not going to bring Squadron 42, the single player game, to the convention at all. We drew a line in the sand when we said 2026. I don't know if we're going to make it. I just know that we're going to do every single possible thing to make it. And part of that is not taking time for the distraction of CitizenCon. What do you mean you don't know if you're going to make it? Like, you just told us you're going to make it. You just told us 2026, like a year ago, but it'll be 2 years when it probably launches. And you're saying you don't know if you're making, like, what are we doing? What do you mean? This shouldn't be an option. Now, this guy, content creator Jared Huckabee, did ask for the chance to clarify his statements. What he said was, after jumping into a thread on the forums to clarify it, he said, I said that I personally cannot tell you what the future holds, because quite honestly, that's the responsible answer for me to give you with the way that video games are made. Not our video games, all video games. So no, I don't know the future, and I said as much as all. And please don't mistake my pragmatism for any commentary on the status of the game. I just try very, very hard to speak as deliberately and plainly as I can without embellishment or hyperbole. I meant what I said in the most literal manner possible, that I can't sit here and tell you what the future holds, because in the entire history of video game development, who's ever been able to? That's all. If I didn't believe in this team and the people within it, I wouldn't still be here. It sounds to me like they asked him to try and walk back that statement because people immediately started freaking out on their forums, as PC Gamer showcased in these comments, where they like literally started bringing this up. Yeah, this shit's not coming out, man. That's so effing dumb. It's not coming out in 2026. This is so embarrassing. The community immediately started turning on them when he came out and said this, and he tries to walk it back. But again, like, I just don't know. I don't know how else to read this statement. I don't know if we're going to make it immediately after referring to the 2026 release date. Like, it sounds to me like you're like, yeah, no, we might delay, which shouldn't be an option at this point. It's 14 years after you started raising money for this game is when you're expected to release it, and you're still like, maybe. It's crazy. But that's maybe the broader point, is that after raising $900 million, they do, whether we like it or not, have the ability to delay it and take their time. And they don't have to like adhere to any strict deadlines. They don't have to change anything, because they are raising enough money that they can continue doing what they've been doing. And they'll continue to get paid to do it, and it'll be totally fine. Like, if they delay it to 2027, it's not like they're going to go bankrupt, because next year they probably are going to raise $140 million from their own community, who's clearly willing to tolerate delays and extensions and buggy releases and all sorts of stuff. So it's just going to be more of the same. And that's why, like, Star Citizen to me is fascinating, because I think it genuinely is really cool. And it does frustrate me when people just throw out stuff like Scam Citizen, because it's not technically a scam. They are charging people money for something they are very clear is not finished. And everybody jokingly, and also not that jokingly, brings up the fact that it probably is never gonna finish. It's probably just gonna continue like this forever, because that's just the meme of Star Citizen. And so it's not really fair to say that it's a scam, because it's not really being deceptive. It's just being inefficient. And amazingly enough, it's not illegal to be really slow, inefficient game developers. It's just not. We can make fun of it, we can poke and prod, but it's not illegal. And in this case, like, they do have some amazing tech. They do have some really, really fascinating things that they're building and crafting. And the systems that they've built out are legitimately really amazing. I mean, you're seeing right now, as I fly, a real-time day-night cycle that is dictated by the rotation of the planet in reference to the star that it orbits around. If I want to go back and play in a daytime area of the planet, I just have to fly there because it's actually spinning within the solar system. It's legitimately really, really cool. I think that's awesome. And it's an impressive system, and it's one that I think has all sorts of cool gameplay, implications as well. But you need more than that, more than cool tech to make a video game that's compelling. And especially video games as a product also require, more generally, for you to have things like valid and non-toxic pricing models. And right now their pricing models are pretty, I would argue, excessive. I think it's fair to say they're excessive. So I don't know if Squadron 42 will release next year. If I had to bet money on it, I'm guessing probably not. It probably gets delayed into 2027, and I would bet good money that Star Citizen, probably the like Persistent Universe, just never releases. I think it will just continue to do its thing where it's just always sort of in development and changing and shifting, and there's always something being altered within it, because why would they stop? They've raised 900 million. They're going to be at $1 billion next year. Why would you do anything differently? Straight up. Like, if you were making $1 billion every decade, why would you do anything else? Why would you ever put the game out? Especially if putting the game out means you have to get rid of the thing that raised you $1 billion. Why would you ever stop? I don't think they're going to. It's just going to be more and more of this until the studio implodes, or they just have some disastrous year where they lose all of their money out of nowhere. I don't know, but I don't think they're going to stop anytime soon. I think it's just going to be more of the same, and it will continue to get updated. There will be some cool new things. They'll continue charging $600 for ships, and it's just going to be more and more of that. But until then, we'll at least be able to make a new video every year looking at what's changed, or rather what hasn't, in the last year as they've raised even more money. That's going to do it for me. Let me know what you think of all of this in the comment section below. If you actually want to hear my extended thoughts on this, I actually did a podcast with a Star Citizen content creator called Space Tomato, where I actually went on last year as well. But we go and we talk through the state of the game. He gave me a bunch of inside the stratosphere and community of Star Citizen updates, things that I might not be aware of. And it's a nice melding, because I'm kind of on the outside of Star Citizen, he's on the inside, and it's a really interesting listen. So I recommend you go check that out. I'll have it linked in the description box below if you want to see and hear all about that. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. And that's going to do it for me. I don't know what happened. My screen went black. Oh, the G-force made me pass out. That's what it was. Okay. I was like, why did it go black? Why did my screen go black? That's why. Oh, that's funny. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. I love you all desperately, and I'll see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.